Hi, it's Etharal here for EGN, and today I'm going to be running the second episode of my Let's Play series for Crusader Kings Warhammer mod. So, obviously, in the last one, our father, or now father, the person we were originally playing, has died. He had a 2% chance dying in a hunting accident. Absolute joke, basically, by the end of it. I have taken over as his daughter, who's still a child, so we're still under a regency, I believe, of our mother. So this is Tyhar Elereth, and so we're going to try playing her a little bit differently now. I think she's going to be a little bit more cautious. She doesn't want to, sort of be the laughingstock follow on after her father. Obviously only ended up with a score in the top right hand corner, as you can see, of 160 in terms of what how sort of important he was by the end of his reign. So first of all, what we're going to do is gonna have a look over here, and what I think I'm going to do is we are going to actually give up on actually trying to claim this on the mainland. Probably going to get that prepared to try and take somewhere else. Now I am running this at 3 times speed, so it is going to be going pretty quickly. I'm still experimenting with how quickly I want to run through these. So, let me know, please do feel free to let me know in the comments if this is running too fast, if you think it wants to run it a little bit slower, or, if even this is actually too slow and you want to see it run a bit faster and we can get through even more gameplay quicker. So, let's get the Regency out of the way, hopefully nice and quickly there. So, this is just trying to work out exactly what lands it is we want to take here. We know we probably want to move out this guy's got an ally that we're not going to be able to compete with them at the minute, so there's not really probably all that much point in trying. So let's have a look. Okay, and now there you go, the Regency has now ended. So we are going to get her all set up and ready to go. Okay, and this way, as you can see, this guy had actually been at war with the bigger kingdom and actually lost it. Okay, then there's some weird eyes going on there. Now let's have a look, see what's going on over here. So trying to consider some places. Obviously those are pretty much just too far away for us to actually be able to do anything with, so there's probably no point there. And so we're going to go through and set all this up, and there's a nice little raid going on, so we're going to try and get rid of them, just to basically have a way of doing a fight sort of thing. Keep nice and interesting. It'd be a little bit boring when you sat just watching the numbers go up sometimes. So trying to obviously arrange my husband. We want to obviously try and get as many children as we can as quickly as possible. Obviously if this person was to die, that would actually be the end of the game, so it's obviously the last thing that we want. Trying to find somebody to be maternal sort of marriage, so that'd be where the people would be coming to our kingdom. And this person doesn't look too bad, as obviously looking through it, and also as well, it's not causing us to lose any prestige if we do it, which is good. It can be a big problem, obviously it was a problem that we had with the last one. And let's have a look. So there is that there, so yeah, this is a sort of count off by himself, no real allies and everything, so what we're going to actually do is probably expand down into the south of this land and then move north, rather than sort of starting in the north and then moving east. So we're going to move north then east, potentially, and hopefully claim this whole little bit here. You'll also notice that I have set myself to have a focus on family, so my character is very much concerned with trying to expand her family, make sure that they actually are still going to be around in a few centuries, basically. Obviously if he was to die, then that wouldn't end really too well for us, of course. So let's just see what's going on with this. So yeah, I've changed over to the other islands now, so we're going to focus on these. Logic being is that they're pretty much by themselves, nice and isolated, so we should be able to use those, get a nice little footing. Obviously not a massive footing, but something is better than nothing at least. So let's see what's going on down here. Also does seem to be an orc horde that is trying to attack Ulthuan, but we want to see if we can try and improve some of these lands a little bit, possibly look at eventually getting some new castles and temples and things like that built in this area. Again, just to make sure that we've got as much sort of manpower as we possibly can. We do now have a new heir. We're going to adjust him a little bit, his name just to try and tie it in. I very much like sort of the Tolkien way of doing things, of all the sort of the children's names sort of are somewhere linked to the parents. And it looks like we've been pretty lucky, so we're not actually, neither us nor our husband are actually infertile at the minute. So that means we can continue, hopefully get another couple, sort of get 2 children, and then we will actually be able to start expanding our family bit and building a bit of a safety net really for if we were to pass away. Okay, so let's have a look. So obviously Ulthuan is pretty big, so there's nothing we can really do, unfortunately, in our lands themselves. We'd love to expand into them if we could, but not ideal there really. But what we'll do is, obviously, these broken lands over in the southern part of the old world, hopefully those are stuff we should be able to expand into relatively easily, and then, you know, make sure that they're nice and isolated. Not going to make the same mistake as what I did in the first game of attacking a guy without checking if he has any allies that he can call in first that would be able to cause me a lot of issues. So let's see what's going on here. So just basically having a look through, basically waiting to get some claims and then to actually be able to start something here. Unfortunately, it's the case that, oh, there we go, we have another child there, so that should be 2. Okay, and let's see, is this, I'm just trying to check, so it should be about 20% chance each year, so there is a good chance of me managing to get it, although it does still tend to take quite a bit of a while, unfortunately, certainly a lot longer than I would like. Let's check this guy's allies, and obviously, even though he does have an ally of sorts, he's not somebody that would be able to call into a war. So that's actually pretty good. Have a look through the mercenaries, obviously, and things to see if there's anybody that will be able to, you know, us to call in. As we do have a decent bit of money, we could support some mercenaries for a little while, certainly during that initial sort of shock phase, to make sure that we actually be able to get into it. Redesign our character a little bit. Obviously, it is nice that you can get sort of the expansion, which does let you adjust the hair. Okay, and that's actually quite lucky. That is another son for us. So we'll just rename him, and then let's see. And again, we have been very lucky there, so we've actually had 2 children and neither one of us is infertile, which actually means that it is going to be a case that we should hopefully be able to get at least a 3rd, and then that is really going to start to expand our family line, which is what we really want. Obviously, as the elves, we are long-lived, but with the infertile thing that does happen, can sometimes happen, where we don't actually manage to get very many, sort of grow the family to the size that will make it safe. Now this, there we go, so we've started the war with this guy, so we're going to try and go and claim him. And so let's see if we can get this footing in the actual old world. So it does take a long time to get around. We were aware for that this time, so at the very least, you know, that's not caught us by surprise or anything like that at all. Right, so we're going to move these people in, get rid of those, because, you know, it's just a drain on our resources that we really don't need. We are obviously bleeding gold a little bit here, so this one actually works quite well, as it means we can actually move into this, and right, okay, so we have actually, unfortunately, lost this war. That's not great, that's definitely not what we wanted by the looks of things. So let's try and figure out, see exactly what's going on here. Right. Okay, so we're going to take them back to there. Now we're going to hire these, hire some people at least. We're going to hire, yeah, we're going to hire the holy warriors. So you've got your knights and things like that we can use. I do believe it's a case that you can actually use them against sort of people of your own culture, obviously, if this is anything like the base game. But certainly we could use them against humans in the old world, which would of course mean that that's going to be looking at getting us around about an extra 18,000 or so. I'll just put these up. There's nothing really especially that I want in terms of the technology. I'm just kind of choosing them pretty much at random as need. So let's raise all of those. Also rebuild our levies slightly, so we've now got those as well up again. So that is now over 3,000 men that we'll be able to get, and also with having raised both of those, we've now got 2 really good commanders as well. Let's have a look. Okay, and so that was a 3rd child, I believe, that I may be pregnant with there now, so that's good. Right, and let's see. So we don't have a massive amount of new people, but let's hope that, there we go, so we've actually managed to get rid of that army, actually been victorious that time, which was probably, I suspect, as we were on quite low morale, that was mainly due to the extra 2 commanders that we got. And there we go, there is our third child, all sons, so that's good, so that means we're going to be able to actually get, and there we are, finally infertile there, so that's all 3 of the children that we're going to be having, but the important thing is that we've still got 3 from 1, so that is going to increase the number of trees in the family that we can go down if we were to die suddenly. And also as well, as you can see, we have now also won the war, so we now have some land here that we can actually begin to start to develop and use it as a sort of foot in the door for claiming the old world. So that's quite good there. We'll be able to obviously look at expanding into some of the other surrounding areas. Obviously we do need to convert them to our religion and culture ideally if we could. And so this person doesn't have any allies or anything like that at all. So obviously she doesn't like me, but then again, I'm an elf that's just taken over the better part of the island that she's actually on. So of course she's not going to like me at the minute. Okay. So just sort of getting everything reset up here, see if there's anything we can do to change some stuff around. And okay, so what we are going to do here as well is, as you can see, we've got a gravel kind succession law at the minute, which means that obviously as we die, our lands will be split between our children, which is not ideal. So what I think we are going to look at doing potentially eventually is we are going to look at changing that, just to give it a bit more stability and consistency in the kingdom that we are part of and that are ruling. Obviously the last thing that we want is to be actually building up this kingdom and then in a few centuries time when we die to then have the whole kingdom fall to pieces. This woman at Lightfing is trying to play this a lot smarter. We're going to raise the child ourselves as well. Obviously we do want to keep nice control over that. So this here, I'm just having a look, trying to work out the kingdoms. It actually turns out that these islands here are actually a kingdom all by themselves, which actually means it should be pretty easy to be able to claim a kingdom there. And there, that will give us a nice strong footing in here. Also as well, it might be the case that with being a king and our liege being a king, then we may actually be able to sort of claim independence just simply through that. So let's have a look. So that duchy, it literally only needs that, and then the other ones are those 4 islands there, although obviously one of the islands is split between 2 different areas. So what we'll do is we'll start expanding and claim all of this island, then possibly look into the other ones and everything and see how that goes. Okay, so how is this all going? So there's not really very many choices there that are all good. Well, there's literally no choices there. And it would seem that our liege is trying to revolt against the High King. Now, I'm not going to get involved with this at all. I have no desire, no care for what's going on Northrun at the minute. It can simply continue on as it likes, and I will build up my power outside of it and then turn my attention to it. Obviously, so long as somebody like Malekith doesn't come in. So yeah, so here, as you can see, we're going to change our succession law to a elective monarchy, which means we'll then be able to actually choose ourselves who it is we'd like. Obviously, as we are the only lord as well, that does mean that in effect I can pick and choose whichever of my sons that I would like to inherit. So let's look. Obviously, while yes, I did say that we're not wanting to actually have any sort of involvement in the revolt itself, still, if anybody comes to my lands, we're not exactly going to just accept that lying down. We need to get them out of our lands and ensure that we stay safe and prosperous. So that is literally as much as we're going to do in that war. So long as they stay out of our island, then they can carry on as they like, basically. Okay, so let's take over a little bit. We are, as you will notice, getting a nice bit of money again. Obviously, as you know, as you will have seen, when you do manage to fabricate a claim, you do have to pay for it with gold and prestige, so it is always a good thing to have a nice little bit in the bank. Now this has got a good decent number of people in it, so we're going to still try and, you know, expand that a little bit more. If we could get over 1,000 men in there at any one time, even if we were to, you know, obviously give it away, then we're still going to get a decent number of people from it. Especially from one thing that I have seen as an elf, is that my vassals that are underneath me do seem to really be pretty much happy and content with whatever I do, so they let me just kind of get on with everything. Okay, so let's just see, we're just having a look through sort of what our son is, see if, you know, there's anybody who might be better to educate him. Had a look to see if there was going to be anybody possibly could betroth him to and things like that. There wasn't really anybody betrothed or anything like that at the minute, so we will hold off on that one and then wait till he is sort of fully grown. Okay, so we're just trying to have a look around here, swapping this sort of the Chancellor sort of guy around a bit. It's a bit bored waiting for him. I know it probably doesn't make a difference if you change him regularly, but it's something that I do still seem to like doing. Seem to have another war going on there, although by the looks of it, the Ulthuan revolt has finally ended, which is good. Okay, and something is going on in the New World over the Lizard Men, a race that I do definitely myself very much like. I did actually used to play them. They were the first army that I got into in the Fantasy Warhammer, and then went on to the Elves, which I have pretty much played since, up until the end of the actual tabletop game. That's one of the things I do like about this mod, and the new, obviously, Total War Warhammer game that's coming out, is that actually it's going to mean a chance to go back into the old world before it was destroyed, something I'm very much looking forward to. And look, there has been another revolt, apparently, in the Ulthuan area. Okay, so we're going to switch back over to this guy, see how it goes. So, moving some people around. We don't have much money anymore, so if we were to claim that one, we could be in some serious money troubles, in the negatives. Obviously, it's not a situation that you want to be in at all. And let's just have a look through, and yeah, we'll put both of those up, might as well. Always something that's very useful to have. So, just sort of trying to go through here, having a look at seeing exactly sort of what's going on, just kind of letting everything again tick over. So one thing that does seem to happen in this game, that there is a lot of points of sort of sitting around waiting, and eventually we're going to expand in quite quickly, and then there's a lot of other waiting as everything gets ready and builds back up again. Very much about choosing your time of when best to attack, and that's something that Tythlia is definitely going to be a lot better at than her father. She isn't going to really be wanting to make any attacks until she knows that it is what is exactly going to be best for the kingdom, and that there is actually a proper actual reasonable chance of them actually succeeding if she was to take the kingdom to war. And there we go. So we do actually luckily have enough gold for that and everything, as it was quite a cheap one, that. So there we go. We now have the right to claim this kingdom as well. Look at this guy. See, he does have an ally over there, so I think we're probably going to leave him for a little bit. One of the good things about playing an elf compared to playing the humans is that obviously when they die and things, alliances become null and void, and then their children have to rebuild up alliances. Whereas what I can actually do as Tythlia is we can get a claim, wait until the person actually dies and somebody else takes over who then doesn't have allies, and then we can quite simply, before they've managed to spend time getting any allies to then be able to call them into the war, we can use that as the opportunity for us to attack. Which is obviously probably a little bit of a cheap way to get the lands, but why not? So we're actually as well going to just let our gold build back up again a little bit. It did get a little bit low. We obviously want to make sure that we're getting everything right. And so we have now got a keep in here. So we're getting nearly sort of 400 men in there, which is actually a decent amount to raise in that kingdom. Most of it obviously is heavy troops, so that is why I am thinking I am going to be concentrating on the heavy sort of support side of things. Okay, and so this guy, we don't want to get rid of him, because obviously that would mean he'd then move out of our kingdom potentially and go to their court, which is obviously the last thing that we want. He's a courtier. He's not somebody we're going to ever really give land to. If we did, then he'd be able to make his own marriages anyway, but for the minute we will sort of leave him to it and not marry him off. Don't want to risk losing him or anything like that. So these guys here, just having a look at them, they are actually pretty turning out okay there. So they are looking like we're going to have sort of 3 good rulers to be able to pass our lands on to, pretty much have our pick of which one we prefer when we do decide to actually have a proper sort of an actual official heir that we're going to stick with. We've just got obviously at the minute the eldest son. Okay, so let's White Reach. So I could claim White Reach for my husband, however that wouldn't bring it into the realm as such. Not that we can actually do it anywhere. I do believe the laws say that we actually can't, unfortunately. So that is actually the end of this Let's Play. We've got pretty much everything set up for the next one to be able to attack into the old world again, and got enough money and everything like that. So I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the Let's Play. Of course, do keep an eye out. This week I'm going to aim to release a couple extra of these faster than my usual schedule, so be sure to subscribe to actually get notifications as to when that happens. So that's all from me here at EGN. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.